Hello. What's that? Hello and welcome to Wednesday Bible Study. And once again, we know it's time for Wednesday Bible Study because we have our Bible. And once again, we're wearing our Wednesday Bible shirt because even though it's the first week of August, it's like 50 degrees outside. So thank you for coming. I appreciate you being here. Today, we are going to talk about the Old Testament reading for this Sunday, August 9th. Which is from 1 Kings, and it's about the prophet Elijah. Just some background. Elijah was a prophet, a very important prophet, and a prophet in the Old Testament was one who delivered messages from God. Noah was a prophet, Moses was a prophet, Elijah was a prophet, Elisha was a prophet. And Elijah was a prophet in Israel while Ahab was king. And Jezebel, you've heard of Jezebel. Jezebel was queen. So you know that probably some bad things are going to be happening here. Because Jezebel had convinced King Ahab to get rid of worship to the God of Israel, the God Yahweh, and instead worship the God of the Canaanites, Baal. And Ahab agreed, so they were in the process of getting rid of all worship to Yahweh and supplanting it with worship to Baal. Needless to say, God wasn't very happy about this, and through Elijah said, how long, to the people of Israel, how long will you go limping with two different opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal, then follow him. I like that. Isn't that great? Too many times we end up sitting on the fence, whether it be regarding God or anything. How long will you go limping with two different opinions? Make a decision. Make a choice. So what ends up happening is a contest is set up between Elijah and the prophets of Baal. And the idea is they're going to have a sacrifice, and their God, their respective gods, will start the fires for the sacrifice without any interference from the prophet. So you've got Elijah by himself, and you got 450 prophets of Baal. Needless to say, Elijah wins the contest, and in the process, and a rather gory conclusion to this story, ends up killing the 450 prophets of Baal. Needless to say, Jezebel was not happy. She sent an army to go after, hunt down, and capture Elijah. So Elijah hightails it off, running for his life, and ends up hiding in a cave on Mount Horeb, or Mount Sinai, or the Mount of God. That's the background, and we begin reading 1 Kings chapter 19. At Horeb, the Mount of God, Elijah came to a cave and spent the night there. Then the word of the Lord came to him, saying, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" He answered, "I have been very zealous for the Lord, the God of hosts, for the Israelites have forsaken your covenant, thrown down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword. I alone am left, and they are seeking my life to take it away." God said, "Go out and stand on the mountain before the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by." Pardon me. Now there was a great wind, so strong that it was splitting mountains and breaking rocks in pieces before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake. But the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire. But the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, a sound of sheer silence. When Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his mantle and went out and stood at the entrance of the cave. Then there came a voice to him that said, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" So obviously in this story, God is speaking to Elijah. The question for all of us is, does God speak to us? And Elijah heard God in this very poetic phrase. Don't you love it? In the sound of sheer silence. That's when Elijah heard God. How do you hear God? Because Contemporary Western life is not characterized by silence in any way, shape, or form. Rather, contemporary Western life, your life, my life, is characterized by a cacophony of noise, a cacophony of information and misinformation, of opinions, ideas, good ideas, bad ideas, and just plain noise. And in the middle of all that noise, it's hard to hear anything real. It's hard to hear what anyone else may be earnestly saying, whether that someone is your spouse, a friend, a teacher, a partner, or your God. We need silence. We need time to be alone and to be silent. A time when we can hear the truth. Because as the story tells us, God was not heard in the screaming wind. God was not heard in the crashing earthquake. God was not heard in the roaring fire. God rather was heard in the silence. So, Elijah needed silence. We all need silence of one form, shape, or another to answer important questions like, what are you doing here, Elijah? In this story, Elijah is running for his life and has no idea what he's doing or where he's going. And in the midst of all of that, God asks him, what are you doing here, Elijah? And Elijah just pukes out this whining response. I have been very zealous for the Lord, but everybody's being mean and stupid, and I'm the only one who really knows what's right. You can almost see God's eyes rolling as he says, we need to talk. And talk he does. So after Elijah has had a chance to talk, after Elijah has had a chance to encounter God in the sound of sheer silence, and after he's had a chance to really think about things, then God asks him again, what are you doing here, Elijah? And I think God has that same question for us, a question that may require us to veil ourselves of the sound of sheer silence. Because God may certainly ask us all, so, what are you doing here? Amen. Thank you again for stopping by. I appreciate that. Join us this Sunday, if you can, for outdoor worship at 9 o'clock, Sunday, August 9th. And if there is a weather contingency, you can check Facebook, our website, YouTube, or the Magic Electronic Talking Machine. VBS, we're going to have a 2-hour VBS program Monday, August 10th from 6 to 8 in the evening. There's information on Facebook, so check that out. And you can also check those same sources for any weather updates that might be applicable to VBS. And as we continue confidently through this week, I remind you, as always, to use your head, wash your hands, and wear a mask where appropriate, and keep the faith. God bless us all. Amen.